Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show, episode 611. Mr.
Oh,
Somich.
big old Breeders' Cup, huzzah! I get to do it once a year.
Hey.
Obviously taking advantage of that one.
Man, I am. This is the most excited I've been, excited and ready that I've been for a Breeders' Cup race, weekend, I should say, maybe ever. Been able to be at a few of them, and I feel like I just know these fields top to bottom, like all 14, better than I have in years past. So I'm very excited about it. We're tackling the Pick 5 on Saturday. That's races 5 through 9. Starts with the turf sprint, ends in the classic, and we've got some meaty tickets.
Yeah, we do. We're spending a little bit more, but it is Breeders' Cup. We both have a single. And it's interesting because, like, if I'm betting to win, this wouldn't be my single, but I'm betting in a Pick 5, it is going to be my single. So we'll talk about that when we get to the race as well. And we do not agree in a lot of these races, which is why it's so much fun for the Breeders' Cup. By the way, did a video with David Aragona, and Nick Sievers was minus 5,000 to comment on it, and he did. So I cashed that yes ticket there. I knew that one was coming. But man, this is a fun one. Yes, we're all over the place, but this is unique because covered the last 5 races on Breeders' Cup Saturday. I'm VSiN at the track. I have not talked about a couple of these races yet out there in the ether, so I'm excited to cover this Pick 5 with you, Magic.
And also, did you do it yet? Your Friday preview, or is that still to come on VSiN?
That's already up on VSiN. So if you
Okay.
VSiN at the track, check out the podcast. If you're listening to this, make sure you check that out. We've got a show on Friday's 5 Breeders' Cup races, Saturday's last 5 Breeders' Cup races. We had interviews with David Aragona and Chris the Bear Felica, as well as our favorite long shots across the 2 days. So a ton of stuff there to be able to get involved with. It's I'm really proud of the work that we were able to do with VSiN at the track this week, but also very excited here to talk about this Pick 5 with you. It's the OG show, man. It's the Magic Mike Show. Let's go.
Mayhemily at Hawthorne. Listen, if the Breeders' Cup ever goes to Hawthorne, you'll get plenty of Mayhemily, Nick. Don't worry.
Yeah.
You got that.
We get David out at the Hawthorne Classic. I almost wore my shirt there when Emily DeRosa and I hosted that a couple years ago. So
That's right.
Got to get him out there.
Listen, it's a big show, and as you say, one more day. So I'm happy. This is my one day off this week, and it's good because it's just like a last chance to take a breath, kind of not think about it, because I've been thinking about it nonstop for 2 weeks. And then tomorrow morning, we're going to kick off at Del Mar, and we're going to kick off this show, not the late Pick 5. This is going to be tough to not say every time. The all grade 1 Pick 5 races.
There's a lot of all grade 1 Pick 5s, man.
Races 5 through 9 at the Breeders' Cup on Saturday, November 1st at Old Del Mar. Let's get into it. Rise up. Kicking things off in this Pick 5 sequence is race 5, the Prevagen Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint. 5 furlongs is the distance they run at Del Mar, and a nice size field of 12 runners, 4 also eligibles, and a few horses that are very near and dear to our hearts. So where'd you go on top to kick it off?
Go sign me up for a price to start this off. Give me the number 4, Kadeem, on top here, 10-1. This is the last flying dismount we're going to get in North America from the Tory. I like this horse quite a bit. This is one where, look, I want a closer specifically in this race. I think there is just a boatload of speed side on for this sprint. We saw Kadeem be able to do that at Kentucky Downs the 2 times he ran there. But the last race, the Woodford, I thought was the impressive one at Keeneland, going 5.5 around a normal U.S. style racetrack. I think this horse has a big shot to come from off the pace, be able to get a good trip out of that 4-post. Was off slow, should have a little bit more tactical speed than what we saw at Keeneland. But I think Kadeem has a monster shot here at 10-1. So we'll kick it off with a price, Magic.
I thought it was interesting they're adding the blinkers for him not after the Kentucky Downs race, after the Keeneland race. No, but I'm not even touching bull shots.
Well,
no.
bull shots, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, this horse was he's amazing. Been amazing at Royal Ascot, and he's a world-class turf sprinter. there's going to be a lot of disagreement here. I'm not going to knock pretty much any horse that either of us uses or doesn't use here. I'll just say a horse I'll let beat me. I know in years past it was always beat the, don't play any Euros in the turf sprint races. And then we saw Starlust win this race last year. And I know the juvenile turf sprint's been up for the Euros the last couple of years, but sticking to it. I'm going to stick to it, and I'm going to go to Reef Runner, who continues to be disrespected, partially from yours truly. Look at what this horse has been doing. 5 furlongs. A reason that I liked him in the Green Flash was because he's such a good horse at 5 furlongs, had been coming up steadily, improving. Got disqualified in the Green Flash. It was questionable. Out of that, went to the Eddie D, and I was like, well, I'm going to try and beat him here. And that didn't work out. But he was off of beating Motorius in the Green Flash, was still 5-1 in the Eddie D, and he's now 6-1 here. And I'm scratching my head going, why? Why in the world is this horse a much better price than the horse to his inside, who he did beat in the Green Flash last out?
I don't disagree with you. I'm going to use Reef Runner as well. He was the second pick for me on this race, and I think Reef Runner has a big shot in here. A lot of people kind of look at the Gulfstream and the Gulfstream and the Tampa form, and they kind of are like, well, maybe we shouldn't play Reef Runner. But if you look at the last two in California, one at Del Mar, one at Santa Anita, they are easily good enough to win this race. You've got a horse that likes the California track, that can handle the 5 furlong distance, should be able to get a very good trip. Another one that wants to come from off the pace. And again, I think there's a boatload of pace signed on. I think you want to be coming from off the pace in this spot. I don't think this horse should have come down against Motorius. And you've got to win over the current favorite, just sitting on the board at 7-2. You want to be on the inside in these turf sprints at Del Mar as well. I love number 2 Reef Runner as well, 6-1 there. On the morning line, the other horse that I wanted to make sure I used here was the 3 Arizona Blaze. Look, we've talked about this in the past. I think I want to make sure I mention this on this show as well. I like horses that come from off the pace in these turf sprints in Europe. I want to find horses that were not contending for the lead, because sprint speed in Europe and sprint speed in the U.S., 2 very different things. It's hard for a sprinter to go gate to wire in Europe and then come over to the U.S. and face the sprint speed on turf you're going to face here and go gate to wire. Arizona Blaze tried to do that last year, and I actually thought that Breeders' Cup turf race or juvenile turf sprint was phenomenal from this horse. Didn't go to the lead after being closer to the pace in the early races over in Europe, was able to come from off of it, ended up missing, just running second, had Rispoli on board that day. Magnum Force won at a price, another European horse who came from off the pace. Arizona Blaze is a lot better from a time form perspective than what we saw last year. Arizona Blaze has the ability to rate, and now you get the number 1 jock for Arizona Blaze, Egan, making the trip across the pond as well. So you get the European jockey instead of the U.S. jockey here. I think Arizona Blaze awfully live here, 5-1 today.
4th horse for me. If I was going to use a Euro, this would be the one that I would use. We agreed on 2 horses. I went 3 deep in here. So the other one we agreed on is the one Motorius. And yeah, 7-2, but a horse that absolutely loves Del Mar. 5 starts. The only time he lost at Del Mar was this race last year, and he lost by a neck. He's 4 for 7 at the distance. It's just, he's a Del Mar specialist through and through. And the rail draw is interesting for him. I was like, I don't know about that. And then I went, oh, wait, he broke from the rail last year and almost won this. So, yeah, all good signs. Frezu stays aboard. Frezu has lost and they're not been given a couple of mounts in the Breeders' Cup for horses that he helped get there, which irked me a little bit because I think he's a world-class rider. But I'm glad at least D'Amato's not stupid. He's going, yeah, no, we're putting you on the horse again.
Yeah, I think, look, I would like to not use Motorius because Motorius is the favorite. I'm not sure Motorius should be the favorite, but if you're playing pickaxes, the favoritism runs pretty deep here. You've got 6 horses that are all between 7-2 and 6-1. So you've got a bunch of options in that lower prices, 5 horses, I'm sorry, that are between those prices. And I think Motorius makes sense because of the Del Mar connections. We saw, again, you mentioned last year's Breeders' Cup turf sprint. This horse ran awesome in that race, ended up just missing. I think we see a similar pace in this race. They went 22-2, 43-3. We know this horse can come from off the pace. Was flying late in the Green Flash and kind of had some trouble there. That was also first off a couple-month layoff. You're now getting a better form cycle here from Motorius. So I think it's all systems go on the one. I would have liked to leave this horse off, but at the end of the day, I couldn't do it simply because I am going to take some shots in other races. I do have a single, so the Motorius kind of finds his way onto the ticket here. Question from the chat here: who is the fastest horse in this race? I think that's a very good question. I think if we were at Saratoga, it'd be Bring the Band Home, but we're not at Saratoga, so that kind of changes it up. I think AG Bullet probably gets the lead. But
Yeah.
I think it is a very contentious lead for AG Bullet. And I don't think it is an easy one by any way, shape, or means. I think Governor Sam wants to be forward. I think Bring the Band Home is going to absolutely fly out of the gate. We'll see if that is the horse that makes the lead. But I think we're going to have a very, very fast pace. And I think that you're going to see horses coming from off of it late. She's So Spicy, another one that should be forwardly placed as well. Bear River went gate to wire last time. Another horse that wants to be forwardly placed. So just a lot of them. I think even Bucanero Forte, Bucanero Forte, the 11 horse, wants to be forward. That's European speed. We'll see if that switches over to the American turf. That would be the one horse who I would have loved in this race if I like speed horses in Europe. If Bucanero Forte can close, I think that horse becomes more interesting. I'm just not sure that he can today.
Strong Buccaneer is what Bucanero Forte means. So there's 2 AMO racing horses in here, and you're using one of them. That's the 3 Arizona Blaze. I can tell you just from knowing this, David Egan is their, like in Europe, they have, stables have a top jockey that's literally signed to them. David Egan is the signed jockey for AMO racing, and he chose to be on the 3, not the 11 in here, which I thought was interesting. And the 3 beat the 11 last time out. I think the 10 is the fastest horse in here. D'Angelo horses almost always have a ton of electric early speed, especially his sprinters. Be second off the layoff. Irad, I think, is going to want to send the daughter Matoli a little bit there. I did use AG Bullet because if you remember last year's turf sprint, she was third, a nose behind Motorius. She was a neck behind, but she was 4.5 lengths behind halfway through the race. She did not go to the lead. And when you now have a Hall of Fame amazing jockey in John Velasquez back aboard after beating the boys in the Jaipur 2 starts back, I think that Velasquez is going to get her to settle, and she'll get first run on the closers. And it just becomes a matter of, does she still have, at H5, does she still have enough of a punch to get her home? I think that she might.
I look, I'm not going to knock anyone for using AG Bullet. The post, the pressure, all of it kind of got to me here, where I decided to leave AG Bullet off the ticket. I think they go really fast. I think that makes it tough on AG Bullet. And I realized last year she was able to kind of sit and be able to close, but that's not her best game. That's not the times that we see the best possible race from AG Bullet. So I didn't want to use a horse at 4-1 that I think is a little harder to make a case for, especially considering I think she's against the race flow in this spot versus, especially when I'm using horses that are 5-1 and 7-2. I wanted to try and spread out a little bit more from a price perspective versus take the 4 shortest prices here. So I agree with you. AG Bullet's live in this race. I just couldn't do it at the number.
And Pedlo Quick asking about the 12 Invincible Papa, the Australian bred racing for Japanese connections. For me, no, the time form ratings don't match up to what the best of the group can do here, and that's a rough draw.
Yeah, I don't think it's impossible, but this is another one that wants to be forwardly placed. And if you look at the last race, was forward, or the 2 races ago was forward. Last race tried to be forward as well. I'm just not sure how that Japanese turf sprinting speed is going to transition over to the U.S., especially with the 12 post.
The second leg, well, it's just the second leg. We're going to go fast. The Side Games Breeders' Cup Sprint is race number 6. You know the deal. 6 furlongs on the main track, and a full field plus 1 also eligible. So 14 runners going to the post. And we do have a filly taking on the boys here. Copion skipping the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Sprint, which she's never gone 6 furlongs for, is going to show up here, which I find interesting. And 7-2 second choice. Where'd you go on top?
Not Copion, who would have been my top pick in the Filly and Mare Sprint. However, Tamara turns into my top pick, and they're owned by the same ownership group, same trainer. I think that is why you see Copion in this race, is because of how much they think of Tamara, who's 7-2, by the way, on that race. Like that horse on top, if you're looking for a win bet. Top pick for me is Lukewarm and Ben Tornado, the favorite here. I thought this horse ran very, very well. The one start that we have seen so far in the U.S. I didn't love this horse last year, but I was really impressed with what we saw in the race at Churchill Downs, going 6 furlongs. Was able to stalk and just absolutely roll and destroy that group. You know that you're going to see speed with Jose D'Angelo horse early. You've got Irad Ortiz on top pushing the buttons. I think you're going to see another very good run here from Ben Tornado. So a very lukewarm pick here, but I am going to spread, and I am going to use some prices underneath.
So a big reason I went 4 deep in the turf sprint, used some shorter prices. The big reason I'm going pretty deep in the classic is because I'm trying to beat a favorite here. If Ben Tornado wins, not going to be shocked at all. That was an electric win at Churchill Downs. I know it was just a $260,000 listed stakes, but he destroyed a good field. I mean, hear my song, Skelly. They wouldn't win this race, but they're no joke. And that was his first race off of, 10 months, right? And another D'Angelo that's got a wicked boatload of speed. What I find interesting is that last year he was drawn inside of Straight No Chaser, went to the lead, and Straight No Chaser was able to just get by him late. You're going to see the same setup here with Straight No Chaser, 2 posts to the outside there. But neither of those are my top play. I said as soon as I heard that this is where they were going and not the classic, I said, give me Banishing in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. I'm going with a big price. He's going to get way overlooked, but this has been the war horse of all war horses. 10 starts this year, 4 wins, 4 seconds. Let's look at some of the highlights. He won the Oaklawn Mile. He was second in the Grade 1 Churchill Downs, which is the biggest key prep or biggest key race we've seen anywhere. Mindframe, Nisos, Bookham Dano, Mulligan, Teano Twist, Extra. So many good horses in there, and Banishing was second, just behind Mindframe, and it was going to be in the Classic. He was second in a mile race at Churchill. He went to the Charlestown Classic and won by 2.5 lengths. I mean, this horse is just so damn cool, and he's not a need the lead type. He is a horse that I think, especially going 6 furlongs, is going to come from off the pace, which is going to serve him well here. Tyler Gaffleone's been aboard the last 3 starts. All 3 of them were good rides. And Chad Summers is listed as the trainer of record because David Jacobson, who also co-owns the horse, there's issues with him being allowed to train in California due to, he said, it's workers' comp related. But hey, my boy Chad Summers can get a win in the Breeders' Cup Sprint after Mind Your Biscuits was 3rd.
The issue is he's not allowed to train in California. That is the issue. So we're going to switch it over to Chad Summers here. Look, Summers had a great meet up at Saratoga this year. He's been on a heater the last 6 months or so. So I'm not going to knock the trainer switch. I can't with this horse. This one's a cut below for me. And I understand, like, look, if this were 7, I think I might be on Banishing. But the 6 to me is a problem here. I'm not sure that that's going to be the best distance. And this is when you're dipping your toes in the water, this is a very deep pool that you're dipping your toes into when you're trying to sprint against this group, which is, by the way, one of the better sprints top to bottom that I think we have seen in a while. I think this is a very, very good field.
Absolutely.
Second pick for me, also 15-1. No, yeah, that's very true. That's accurate. Second pick to me, also 15-1 here. If Bookham Dano didn't exist, what price is Mulligan in this race? Because if Bookham Dano didn't exist, Mulligan wins the True North. Mulligan wins the Vanderbilt. And yeah, the Forgo wasn't great. Fine. We'll just draw a line through the Forgo because it's almost too bad to believe. Isn't Mulligan like, I don't know, 5-1 here, not 15-1? Because Bookham Dano, by the way, would have been your favorite in this race. Would have been like 5-2. I probably would have been picking him. And Mulligan has been right behind this horse multiple times. Feels like 15-1 is a gift on Mulligan. Not saying this horse is just going to air and win, but look, Pratt ends up here. This horse has danced the dances against the best sprinter that's not in the world, that's not here. I like Mulligan quite a bit at the price. So give me Mulligan, the 11 horse at 15-1 on the ticket.
Yeah, I passed on him. I just don't think that as a 5-year-old, he's been the same horse that was a very good 3rd in this race last year, considering he didn't break well. He's a front runner, and it was a very poor start for him in the sprint. So to hold on and get 3rd, I thought was a testament to his ability. But yeah, he's ran into Bookham Dano. He ran into Mindframe. He ran into Locked, all very good horses. I just think you want to play him to hit the board, great. For me personally, not going to use him in here. I did, for my second choice, go to Copion because, like you, this would have been my filly and mare sprint pick. I was all set to do it. When the pre-entries came out, I texted Aaron my whole list of my initial thoughts. Here's who I think's winning every race, or who I'm picking. And she was there. And then they made this switch, and I went, what the fuck are they doing? She's never gone 6 furlongs before.
Never.
And then I was like, well, Tamara, I wasn't that impressed with Tamara, but like you said, same trainer, same ownership, and they're putting Tamara there and moving her. Okay. I mean, she's got ability. She runs well at Del Mar. She comes from off the pace, but she can also be close up to it. So you got Money Mike Smith, who's only won more Breeders' Cup races than any other jockey in history. Yeah, the price isn't attractive, but maybe that changes a little bit as people gravitate towards other runners here.
Oh, unbelievable. You're just a company man now. You're not making fun of Mike Smith anymore. You're giving positive comments on Mike Smith after you'd say, I can't bet him. I shouldn't be betting him. He lost his fastball. Here you are saying he's got his fastball. Now, Copian is a fastball. That horse went 33 and change out of the gate last time out. After that work was when the talk really happened. Hey, we might head to the sprint. It's too short for me for her. I think this is more of a more of a impression on Tamara than it is Copian here. I think that they said, hey, we think Tamara's absolutely loaded in that race. We think Copian has a shot here. Why not just split them up? I didn't use her because of the price. 7-2 is too short to me, especially when I'm using Ben Tornado at 5-2, or Ben Tornato, sorry, at 5-2 there. I'm going to go for another price here. Give me number 5, Big City Lights, 15-1. California horse that has just been a true and true state bred. I get it. When we step out of state bred competition, it hasn't been great. But, when we stepped out of state bred competition, we've faced some very good horses in graded stakes at both Del Mar and Santa Anita. The fact that they took the shot here tells me this is doing phenomenal. Richard Mandela is not someone who's like, hey, YOLO, let's enter him in the whole race. Like, no, he's 22% in graded stakes. He knows what he's doing here, okay? And he's got Copian in here, who, by the way, they are really high on is 7-2. Big City Lights last race in the Cal Cup Sprint. I realized it was state bred. I realized there were just 4 horses. Was awesome. And this horse loves this racetrack. 2 wins, 5 starts. The fact that you take this horse off a 9-month layoff, last ran January 18, 2025, and you go, we're going in the sprint. Again, for a trainer that has a 22% win percentage in graded stakes and already has a horse in the race, tells me that Big City Lights is ready to run. And it's a step up, but the price is right. Give me the number 5, Big City Lights, 15-1 on the ticket.
I think personally, I think it's a great underneath play here. Hasn't raced in 10 months, and they go straight to the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Don't forget, Papa Mandela holds the record for most Breeders' Cup wins in a single day with 4. So he's got a couple of good chances here. You talked about if Bookham Dano didn't exist, what would Mulligan be? If the Chosen Vron didn't exist, Big City Lights would look like a monster because he kept losing to the Chosen Vron. That horse finally retires. Everyone else went, oh, he went, yes, he's finally gone. And then he, in the Pat O'Brien, was 3rd, Chosen Vron 2nd. Raging Torrent won. Raging Torrent also won the Malibu, also won the Mile. So very good horse to finish 3rd too there. Would be a great story. A $22,000 purchase, Calbred, winning the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Not for me, but I totally see the angle. I am going with another price, a little bit to his outside. The number 8, Nakatomi. Boy, I can't seem to figure this horse out. So I'm just going to put him on the ticket because he's going to get overlooked. But it was right behind Mulligan and Bookham Dano and the Vanderbilt. His races on a fast 6 furlong sprint, I think, are really solid. It's a Wesley Ward horse that's drawn nicely outside. And 2 years ago in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, finished 3rd behind Elite Power and Gunite, which was a very impressive effort. Last year, I think he got a little too far behind, which wasn't to his benefit. But if he gets a stalking trip under Jose Ortiz, I think the Nakatomi is going to be coming with a big rush late.
Yeah, this is the underneath one for me. He's better at Keeneland and Saratoga than he is in California. Now, the 3rd last year or 2 years ago, I was kind of I don't want to say the only other horse that could run 3rd, but kind of was the only other horse that could run 3rd outside of Speedboat Beach, who ended up.
I would say Speedboat Beach, Chosen Vron, Dr. Scheibel, they were all in that race.
Yeah, your love for Dr. Scheibel is different than the general population. And if I remember correctly, Chosen Vron didn't get the best trip that day. And you also had Speedboat Beach who backed up, and then you saw Nakatomi who retook 3rd place as Speedboat Beach backed up. So, look, Nakatomi at Keeneland, I'm interested. Nakatomi at Saratoga, I'm interested. Nakatomi in California, not interested on top. So not going to make the ticket. Last one on for me, the number 7, Imagination. This is going to be one of the key Bob Baffert horses of the weekend of what this horse actually does. 6-1 on the morning line. I just kept going back to this Santa Anita sprint specials or challenge or whatever the heck it was. The last race that this horse ran at 6 furlongs, beat Dr. Venkman, beat Straight No Chaser. I don't know if didn't try is fully accurate, but never really left first gear and just kind of ran by everybody. Man, I think that the 7 Imagination has a big shot here in this one. So I'm going to include the 7 Imagination, who beat your winner last year, the 12, who should sit a pretty good trip. And I didn't think Imagination would be a very good sprinter. last race was awesome. Now you're second off the layoff. This could be an improvement off that last one. So I'm going to include Imagination on the ticket, although I'm not like over the moon about this one. This is one of those that's a decent price that you're getting only because it's the Breeders' Cup that I want to include on the ticket.
Our mutual friend Caleb Keller has this theory about horses that are 6-1 on the morning line in stakes races are the most likely to go up in price. And he was given great examples. I wish I could remember off the top of my head, but he's given great examples of it, of horses that were 6-1 and they went up to like 8-1, 10-1, 12-1. It's like there's something about a horse being 6-1 that it's not high enough that people are like, yeah, long shot, and it's not low enough that people are like single, so it gets overlooked. To that point, I think his price goes up a little bit. My knock on him is that going into the St. Louis Sprint Championship, if you had asked anyone, you asked 1,000 horse racing fans, handicappers, etc., people who follow the sport, do you like Imagination for the Breeders' Cup Sprint? Does maybe one person say yes? And then out of that race, he's here, and people I work with at FanDuel are like, oh my gosh, Imagination. He looked good. He's a goofy son of a bitch when he was running. I mean, Juan Hernandez was trying harder to keep him straight than to keep him like moving forward. The horse was running. He just was kind of like lugging in, and it was goofy. If he doesn't run goofy, I think he's got maybe a triple digit buyer for that win. So I'm not going to use him. There's a joke in there somewhere. But if he wins, I'll be mad just because I'm like, I never liked him. I didn't like him when he was a 3-year-old. But go ahead.
One of the beauties of horse racing is we can change our opinion with more information.
This is true.
I feel like we got more information in that sprint race. And I feel like Imagination is definitely a better sprinter than Straight No Chaser, who won this race last year. Now, I still think that was fluky that Straight No Chaser won this late race last year. So I'm down on this horse compared to a lot of people, but I would much rather have the 7 than the 12. Who was your last horse on the ticket, Magic?
I've got the 12, Straight No Chaser on here. I thought that, if you look at the horses that ran in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, on Saudi Cup night, and then went to Dubai, none of them ran particularly well compared to what they were able to do. He absolutely destroyed a relatively weak group, let's call it what it is, in the Riyadh Dirt Sprint. But it was such a tiring effort for him, for Forever Young, who we'll talk about later. Romantic Warrior didn't show up with his unbelievable turf effort next out at Dubai. Like, horses just kind of took steps back, and they needed a lot of time off. Standing in Sprint Championship, I think he just went a little too fast in the middle and didn't relax enough, but he was also on the inside. He's now on the outside where he was last year in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And again, I'm going to trust his Hall of Fame jockey, John Velasquez. Dan Blacker is an amazing trainer. I'm going to use Straight No Chaser, because I think that there's a chance he can bounce back in his last start and get the win.
I'm not going to talk you off Straight No Chaser. I still think last year was a little bit of a fluke. I think this is a better version than last year's race. And I don't love the race in that last time out. He got absolutely obliterated by Imagination in that race. And so it's hard for me to want to use the 12 just because of how the gap I believe there was between the two. Like, full disclosure, I wasn't on Straight No Chaser last year. It's hard for me to now say, okay, I'm going to jump on him here when I do think there's some better horses that I want to be using in this spot. So for me, I'm going to go 4 deep here. I'm going to go with a couple prices in the 5 Big City Lights and the 11 Mulligan. And then I'll use the favorite Ben Tornato, and then I'll throw Imagination on as well. So 4 deep in this sprint for me.
Thanks for covering for me. The little Rugrat showed up out of nowhere. The third race in this Big 5 sequence, race 7, the Longines Breeders' Cup Distaff Mile and 8th for fillies and mares. And unlike the last couple of years where you had Idiomatic and then Torpedo Anna, there was like a big standout. Not anybody that's coming in with that kind of a big push. I will say, I just saw earlier today, Scottish Lassie, the 5 horse, will scratch. So it's not going to be 13 runners. All that to say, who you got on top?
That's a meaningful scratch, too. Scottish Lassie's best chance was probably forward, which would make a difference for Seismic Beauty, who's your favorite here, 9-5 on the 8 horse. I respect Seismic Beauty. I'm going to use Seismic Beauty. I can't believe I'm about to do this. Give me the number 12, Darth Vader, to win a Breeders' Cup race. I like.
Have a good day, everybody. I'm out of here.
Darth Vader's a very interesting horse. We've talked about her quite a bit on this show. I think that she still gets disrespect because she won the Devona Dale at 50-1 back at Gulfstream Park. She is a Johnny Tryhard horse who is going to try hard all the way to the wire. I think there's enough speed that she's going to sit there as the first horse right off the pace and going to be able to get the lead from those horses top of the stretch. If Seismic Beauty backs up at all, she's the runner that makes first run. And I don't really know if anyone catches her. So I'm going to go with the number 12, Dorth Vader on top here, 5-1.
Shadi is very, very happy with you. That's her favorite horse right now. I've never been a Dorth Vader fan. In terms of like betting her, I like what she's able to do.
She's won the Ogden Phillips at a price. She ran second to Torpedo Anna at price.
Yeah, but who'd she beat in the Ogden Phipps? Dazzling Move, Raging Sea. I'm not touching them. She almost beat Torpedo Anna. I wasn't going to use Torpedo Anna if she hadn't had that last shitty race at Keeneland and got retired. So no, I'm going to pass.
Okay.
Maybe underneath. Listen, I do think the Seismic Beauty is the play here on top. This is one that I thought was going to be a standout. But the more I look at it, there is a lot of pace in here, and I'm not going to single her. So, yeah, I'm going to use Seismic Beauty. Did you use her on the ticket?
I did use Seismic Beauty. I do think that she is a likely winner in this spot. I think that she holds the cards, but there is other pace that's going to make life difficult. If she clears early, she's really tough. If she doesn't clear early, all of a sudden, I think this race is wide open.
Sorry, kid in the background there. I thought you were going to go for a complete crazy horse in the 2 Sarawak Rim, because I did. Because here's what doesn't make sense. A horse that's run 5 times in her career, 4 wins, all of these races in Argentina. Like, what kind of a class is this moving over here? She hasn't run since May. What the hell is she doing here? Look at who her trainer is. Nacho Correas had Blue Prize, had Leda Vida, like horses that have won and done very well, Argentinian breds in the distaff. He knows what it takes to get an Argentinian bred to win the distaff and run well. And then on top of that, Irad Ortiz Jr. is going to ride. And I went, what? Irad is going to ride this horse for Nacho Correas when he won 3 times rather, on the 3-horse Clicquot, including the Indiana Derby, when he's been on a horse like Scottish Lassie, when he's Irad could have had a lot of different mounts in this race, and he shows up on the Argentinian bred. Yeah, I'm putting the 2 on the ticket.
Yeah, 2 made the ticket for me as well. I was between Clicquot and Sarawak Rim, and Irad was the difference for me. The 2 or the 3 was the last horse on the ticket for me here, and I'm going to go with the 2 for all the reasons you stated.
Yeah,
this is a wild card, and Correas knows what he's doing with wild cards, and the fact that he draws Irad here when you've got all of these other spots that Irad could have landed on, specifically the other horse that I was considering. And Pratt gets aboard the 3. That's not a knock on Pratt, obviously. But the fact that Irad got off the 3 to ride the 2 tells me that there's at least a little bit of spunk here in this 2 Sarawak Rim. So I'm going to go 2-8-12 to try and get through this race.
And I went 2-3-8. I put Clicquot on. I think that she's steadily improved every race. When the Indiana Oaks won the Cotillion, off of a bit of a layoff. It's Brendan Walsh who's having an unbelievable year, and you mentioned gets Pratt to ride. So I'll put Clicquot on. She's been favored in almost every race. She should have been favored in the Cotillion. Who the hell was favored in the Cotillion? I've already forgotten that. Oh, Good Cheer. That's right. Yeah. Good Cheer, who I think just yesterday finally crossed the finish line in that race. Yeah, so Clicquot for me, just playing Clicquot off of the improvement angle. And I almost I was trying to make a case for the 11 Dry Powder. I think that she's a hit the board type. I don't think she's of the caliber as a 3-year-old to win this race, but as a 4-year-old, when it's back at Keeneland, watch out for Dry Powder.
Yeah, I think there's a couple horses that are interesting from a price underneath that I did not use. Cilia is one of them for Belmont. Alvarado rides here. Interesting path to this point in the career where we're going 2 turns pretty much exclusively. Win the Fleur de Lis, a grade 2, run second in the Clement L. Hirsch, a grade 1, and then just sprinting. And now we jump back out to two turns in the Spinster. Look, here's the problem. I don't like Gin or Nitrogen. It's hard for me to get behind Cilia. And that really is the main knock for me, is like if I'm not using the 2 horses to beat her, and I didn't really see any major excuses except that's the first time going long in a while, it's hard for me to just jump aboard. I don't mind Cilia underneath. I do like her more than Nitrogen or Gingin. I just find it difficult for her to win the race. Other horse I think at a big price could hit the board here is Regalt. The 13 horse, 30-1. This horse is going to be flying late in a race that has a lot of speed. That alone makes Regalt at least a little bit interesting. We have seen this race absolutely collapse before. the 30-1 Japan horse, if I recall correctly. I think that was at Del Mar, and we were together.
Yeah, yep. 2021.
That race absolutely collapsed, and this is the style of horse that can win that race. I think Regald at the 13 has some interesting uses underneath as well at a monster price if you were looking for a horse in third or fourth in your tries or supers.
Manla says Nitrogen weirdly has a great photograph pattern. I have heard that. People I work with, there's some big players in that. But yes, to the point, someone asked, has Argentina ever won a Breeders' Cup race? And yeah, specifically Blue Prize for Correas, this trainer, won it in 2019. And then Leda Vita was third 2 years ago. And then you remember Didia, too. Didia was third in the Philly Mare Turf last year. All Argentine. Well, I take it back. Leda Vita's Chilean. I apologize. She's South American. But Blue Prize and Didia, both Argentinians like Nacho Correas, who we talk about when we cover Keeneland, is he goes there with intent. And on the big races, Correas horses can run real huge.
Yeah, he's not entering this horse just for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Off of the long layoff without a break, and Irad's not hopping aboard because he didn't have anything better to do in the Breeders' Cup staff.
Yeah. So I 2 is live.
Yeah. The penultimate leg of the Breeders' Cup Pick 5 that we're covering is race 8, the Longines Breeders' Cup Turf, a mile and a half for a $5 million purse. And my best bet of the entire Saturday card is my single in here, the 8-horse Mini Hawk. If you watch any of her races as a 3-year-old, you're going to be blown away. Even her defeats in the Arc de Triomphe, because the horse who beat her, Deriz, is coming from a barn that has been bonkers, lights out good. Francis Henri Griffard. They have the 2 Goliath in here as well. Griffard does, but he's the champion trainer in France this year. It's kind of been a breakout year for him. He also trains Kalleward, who, if Kalleward had gone here instead of going to the Japan Cup instead, was probably going to be my top pick and maybe my single, because he has been a multiple Group 1 winner all over Europe as well. But all that to say, the one loss that she has as a 3-year-old came in the biggest, basically the Breeders' Cup Turf version for what they have in Europe. Their biggest race for anyone is the Arc de Triomphe, and she was second beaten ahead and 5.5 lengths clear of third.
Yeah, it was actually Aiden O'Brien's comments that swayed me over to singling Mini Hawk here as well. Aiden O'Brien came out and said she's going to be better on a firm turf, which was kind of the stake in the heart of the meat wanting to single Rebels Romance here instead. It's interesting because, like, from a betting perspective, so I have Mini Hawk on top. I think Rebels Romance might be the win bet when we actually see the off odds. I think it's going to be interesting to see what the odds end up here, because like Mini Hawk is even money overseas in some betting parlors, whereas Rebels Romance is 3-1 plus 350, so 3-1, 7-2 type of range. If that's the pricing, I kind of like Rebels Romance more as a win ticket here, but man, Mini Hawk I think is, look, she's a star. When you go and you watch her overseas races, she's absolutely is just loaded. She's got a great turn of foot. And she's just getting better. Aiden O'Brien, the comments that he's made about her, talks about how dominant she is. She's carrying a race low weight of 119. So you're seeing like her get a weight break against these as well. If you look at the other competitors, you're talking 126, 122. It's hard for me to get around Mini Hawk in this type of sequence. You got to single somewhere. I'm going to single here.
Rebels Romance winning, I don't think it would be a surprise, right? He's a 2-time winner of this race. He's, the win in the Turf Classic at Belmont, the Big A, was lesser horses, but he just shows up and runs well at Del Mar. And Goliath has been, he's kind of taken the same path that we've seen Rebels Romance do, where he'll go out to Germany if he has to, or Japan. He was in the Japan Cup last November. There are good horses in here. And it was hard for a lot of people. Like I saw from Dennis Trusty, like I went in trying to beat Mini Hawk. I came out saying I can't beat her. I just don't think beating Mini Hawk is really going to happen in here. And there's some really good horses. I don't want to undersell that.
Yeah, there are some very good horses. I kind of felt it was very easy to tier out this race. I felt that Mini Hawk was tier kind of 1A, Rebels Romance tier 1B. The 2 Goliath and the 3 Amalok are the other 2 horses that I think are the legitimate win contenders in this spot. I think both of them could upset the 8 and the 1 if they run just their eyeballs out and they get the right trip and something happens to Mini Hawk and Rebels Romance where you don't get the best effort from them. Underneath prices, I think Wimbledon Hawkeye and the 14 Ethical Diamond are very interesting if you're looking to fill out superfectas, trifectas. But at the top, I thought it was very difficult to get around Mini Hawk, and I didn't want to use Mini Hawk and Rebels Romance. We talked about it a ton on this show. I'm not going to use the two favorites, so I'm just going to go ahead and use Mini Hawk here, try and single and get through this race. But I do like some, like, I think if you want to play really, really cold tries and supers, you could do like 8 with 1 with 2-3 with 2-3 6-14, something like that in the superfecta. Play it a couple times and see if you're able to get prices underneath it to balloon this up. Also, don't hate the idea of just going 8 with 1-2, probably 3-14, and just see if you can get that 14 in second or third and really balloon up those super prices as well.
The 14 Ethical Diamond has Dylan McMonagle aboard. Now, I'm glad you brought this horse up because I was going to talk about him. McMonagle is, I think, 22. He was just named the champion jockey in Ireland for 2025. Think about how good you've got to be to be like that. He's got a few live mounts that have, unfortunately, drawn very shittily. There's one on Friday as well. He's riding for, I think, Joseph or Donica. I think it's Joseph O'Brien, where he drew the 14. You're just like, oh my gosh, but it's such a good. And by the way, if the 14 manages to win, this horse began 2025 racing in hurdles races overseas.
Yeah.
Willie Mullins is one of the best. If you ever play hurdles races, which I won't, but Willie Mullins, I can tell you, was considered the Bob Baffert of hurdle races in Europe.
Well, I want to talk about the last two races too, because they're not group efforts, because they were
Right.
both handicaps, and that's why you're not seeing G1, G2. But look at the value of those races. The win two back was a win at Ascot, getting 110 time form and $150,000 handicap, carrying 129 pounds. The follow-up win at York, 117 time form, going a mile and 3/4, $676,000 race. So not a cheap race. 22 horses. Wins by 2.5 lengths over 22 other horses, carried 134 pounds in that race. So actually dropping weight for this spot, and was carrying 160 back when was hurdling. So very, very different weight class here for Ethical Diamond. And if you look at the improvement from 3 to 4, from 4 to 5, it was that kind of expectation to jump up, 10% or so. If there's just a little more room, all of a sudden we're in the conversation with some of the best horses. Now the post sucks, but the price is right at 30 to 1.
The last leg of this pick 5, the granddaddy of them all, the Longines Breeders' Cup. Does Longines just sponsor these 3 races in a row? I didn't notice that till now. The Breeders' Cup Classic, mile and a quarter, $7 million purse. And the complexion completely changed 2 days ago when Bill Mott said, Sovereignty's got a fever. We're not sure if he's going to make the Classic. Anybody who's followed this sport or knows Bill Mott went, Sovereignty's not running in the Classic. So yesterday they made that official. And now everything has changed in here. Not going to be the horse of the year. It's going to be still 9 other contenders with big shots. Where are you going on top?
Yeah, this is a fascinating race. I mean, the more you break it down, the more you have to kind of just appreciate who is in this. We have the top 3 finishers of last year. We've got every single one of these horses has crossed the wire last time in the U.S. with 100+ buyer, except for Contrary Thinking, who I'm just going to ignore for the process of this. Contrary Thinking, a rabbit. Do not bet Contrary Thinking to win. Contrary Thinking will not be hitting the board. Do not do anything with the 4 horse in this race. I can poke holes in a lot of these horses. And because I can poke holes in a lot of these horses, it kind of makes me want to go toward a horse that I think is on the improve at a price. I'm going to go with the number 10, Antiquarian, on top. 10 to 1 on the morning line. This is a horse that has improved the last 3 races. Should have won 3 back in the grade 3 Blame. Blew the turn and lost that race. In the Suburban, chased Phileas Fogg all the way around when Phileas Fogg was able to crawl through a mile. Wasn't able to get ahead, but lost by a head in that spot. And then last time out in the Jockey Club Gold Cup, which is a race that was marred by an incident that happened in the stretch. We saw Sierra Leone have to jump over a jockey, and obviously Mindframe went down. You see Antiquarian improve again, run a 108 buyer and get the win. And what I thought was a really impressive performance in a 4-year-old that's starting to put it all together. I'm going to go ahead and take the best price of the horses that I think can logically win this race and the horse on the improve. So give me the number 10, Antiquarian, on top here, 10 to 1.
Not going to use him, but you make a great case for him. He has been improving as a 4-year-old. The Jockey Club Gold Cup, if Sierra Leone hadn't had to avoid IRAD and falling off of Mindframe, I don't know that Antiquarian still beats Sierra Leone because he was flying. Now, maybe he beats him and it's by like a head or a nose, It will be really cool because a preservationist, his sire, was such a cool older horse. It took him forever to stay healthy, but once he did, boy, he finally showed up. He won the Woodward, he won the Suburban. So just a cool horse who stands for a very modest fee of $5,000. Again, not going to use. Johnny V had been aboard him all those other starts. Johnny V is obviously not going to get off of Fierceness for Antiquarian, but Saez is more than capable.
Yeah, I don't mind the jockey switch. I mean, if Johnny V was on this horse, it would just be like, oh, here, take my money, right? If you're picking this horse over Fierceness, right, it would be an unbelievable sign. I'm not sure. I get it. Sierra Leone had to jump. Are we sure the Antiquarian didn't have something left in the tank there? I don't know if the Sierra Leone just flies by Antiquarian. I think that's being a little rude to Antiquarian, who ran a huge race in that spot, and is the horse that I like that can sit the middle trip. We always talk about this, like, who can sit in the middle of the pack? Well, journalism can, right? But I think Antiquarian's a better version of journalism. Antiquarian can be forward. Antiquarian can be in the middle of the pack and still be able to be successful in a race where you've got the rabbit and a little bit of pace. I think Antiquarian has a shot to sit a very good trip. Second horse on for me, I am going to use Fierceness. The Fierceness' best effort wins this race, right? And that's hard to kind of get around that. I think that you're going to see a more tepid pace than what we saw last year. I think that's a benefit toward Fierceness, who's going to be forward, especially from the rail. 5-2, I've always said with Fierceness, look, as long as you're getting over 7-5, 8-5, it's never a bad bet because the best race from Fierceness wins the race. And he usually shows up with it one every other time. So I'll use the one Fierceness here as well.
Fierceness is my second choice. I thought after winning the Pacific Classic, there's only two horses possible that could win the Classic, and that would be Sovereignty and Fierceness. And Fierceness on his best day is better than Sovereignty on his best day. The way he won the Pacific Classic after almost throwing Johnny V over the rail was incredible. It also cost Humberto Rispoli not just his job on journalism. Look at any horse that Eclipse Thoroughbred runs in California that had Rispoli aboard. You're not going to find him on any more Eclipse horses. So that relationship is done.
Severed.
Severed with a guillotine. So yeah, I've got Fierceness second in here. It's funny. It was funny to me that he drew the rail because Todd Fletcher had said, as long as we just don't get the rail again. And they got the rail. At the draw, it was down to him and Sierra Leone. And it was between 1 and 7. Or it was a Sovereignty, one of the two. And he got the 1. So yeah, I've got him in second. I refuse to quit journalism. He's my top play in here. Journalism has been beaten by two horses, Sovereignty and Fierceness. If Fierceness decides to go bonkers Fierceness, he's not beating journalism. Sovereignty's not in the race. I'm going with journalism on top in here. And I do like the jockey change to Jose Ortiz because I can tell you from talking to some people, McCarthy wanted to almost strangle Rispoli after the Pacific Classic because he let the horse get too far back when he saw Fierceness. The belief was that if Rispoli was paying attention and saw Fierceness not get to the lead, have trouble, and sit mid-pack, you as the jockey should have tried to take advantage of that, and he didn't, and that's what cost him the job. Jose Ortiz will not make that kind of a mistake. This horse has never been worse than second in a dirt route, and I think that there are performances there. Preakness, Haskell, he should not have won those. His talent overcame the rides he was given, and now you're giving me Jose Ortiz.
Yeah, I think he's logical underneath. I think this is a tall task to ask him to beat this field. I'm not going to use Baeza or journalism. I think both of them are running into a pretty good group of older males here. And that to me is the difference. The fact that journalism ran his race. And I agree with you. Rispoli should have taken advantage of some things, but journalism still ran his race in the Pacific Classic. And Fierceness got the worst of it in the Pacific Classic and dusted him. It's hard for me to then be like, well, because that probably the delta is really 5 lengths between the two. I don't see how you're flipping 5 lengths between journalism and Fierceness. He could definitely win. He could hit the board, but I can't get journalism. Fair. And that's the beauty of this race is that you can go a lot of different directions. I'm going to use Sierra Leone as well. I was really impressed with the Whitney effort where this horse was not as far back. I was really impressed with even the Stephen F. Foster where he lost to mind frame, where he was able to sit closer to the pace. If I'm using Antiquarian, and I think Antiquarian can win this race, I kind of have to use Sierra Leone as well because Sierra Leone was right there for him. Yeah, the freshening argument for journalism is one I've heard. That he didn't get a break and now he got a break, and now you're supposed to expect a better effort of journalism off that freshening. So that is the argument I've heard as well. But yeah, Sierra Leone for me, third horse on. So 1-7-10 here in the Classic to close out the pick 5.
I went 5 deep. I used Sierra Leone as well. One of my things for playing Del Mar Breeders' Cup races is find horses who have had success at Del Mar, because it is a deeper track. It's a deeper track, and some horses take to it and some don't. Would you stop? And it's Sierra Leone winning, by the way, won this race sitting closer halfway through the race like he did in the Whitney. And that was the winning decision from Flavien Prat. So Sierra Leone's on. Forever Young's going to be on for me. I think I didn't. Forever Young's the last horse I put on here, because I kept thinking, like, man, he didn't look that great in his Japanese win to prep for this. Like, that one kind of bothered me, but I've been seeing him on the track and how well he looks, and I'm like, God, he was the best race I have seen all year anywhere was Forever Young beating Romantic Warrior in the Saudi Cup. Like, that was, to me, was the coolest thing I've seen, where he gets past, tips out, and goes back and catches a horse that was one of the best, if not the best horses in the world in Romantic Warrior. Took some out of him. Dubai World Cup, he looked off. This trainer speak, but he said he was 75% fit for that Japanese race. The point of that race was to make 100% fit for this, and he is fit for it. If you remember last year's Breeders' Cup, he actually drew the rail, got shuffled. He had to use them a little bit more. Then he got shuffled back, and then he had to come on again late and actually gain ground on fierceness as well. So I think that now that he's not on the rail, he's got a better chance here.
Yeah, I can't knock Forever Young. I've just kind of gotten past the Forever Young thing, I think is the best way to put it. The race, and you're right, the race that he won in that Saudi Cup was phenomenal. One of maybe the race of the year, right? But for me, at 7-2 and Forever Young gaining a lot of steam in the market, which I'm kind of surprised over the last 24 hours, I started hearing more and more about Forever Young. I just couldn't really get to the point where I wanted to run to the window and I wanted to add this horse, especially since I am using Fierceness, I am using Sierra Leone. So another one where I wouldn't knock anyone for using Forever Young. Honestly, I wouldn't knock anyone for using anyone in this race except Contrary Thinking. But for me, it just wasn't a horse that I could get on the ticket.
I agree with that statement more than anything else you said. You can make a case for anybody but Contrary Thinking in here. Yep. Baez is the fifth horse, not the last one on the ticket, but he is on the ticket as well. If you go back to the Triple Crown, Sovereignty and Journalism, like, they were at their peak and they've stayed there. It's a very good peak. Baeza has been doing this to catch them, and I think that Pennsylvania Derby effort really showed a big improvement effort from him as well. We love Flavien Prat, right? Hector Berrios is a better jockey for this horse. He just is. You watch how he rides him and where he puts him in positions. Berrios is a better jockey than Flavien Prat for Baeza, and he's a half sibling to a Derby winner, a Belmont winner. He somehow is still the third best horse in the family. If he wins the Breeders' Cup Classic, that puts him over the edge for me. The one knock I have on Baeza, he's never raced at Del Mar, and I don't have that Del Mar form to know if that deeper track for him is going to hurt him or help him.
If I was going to use a 3-year-old, I would use Nevada Beach, which is wild to say in this race. But that Nevada Beach would be the 3-year-old that I would use over Baeza, over Journalism. That last race was really good. In the Goodwood. And I used him that day. I think that he kind of had everything his own way, though, because Full Serrano, we talked about that race, was never getting the distance in my mind. I think Nevada Beach gets better with the extra distance, and I'd rather take the 20-1 price on Nevada Beach, which I think floats up, than the Baeza or Journalism price, which both float down. So Nevada Beach to me is at least a little interesting at 3, but I am not going to go that direction here. But if I picked a 3-year-old, I think Nevada Beach would be the one I'd use on multi-race tickets.
I mean, Bob Baffert's never won a classic unless it was a 3-year-old. Like, he only wins classics with 3-year-olds. If you look at all the horses he's had in there, some of them run well. He just doesn't ever win the classic unless the horse is a 3-year-old. That's the case with Nevada Beach.
That Nevada Beach, Chris. But you know what? With new information, you make new decisions.
We're not running this race on June 8th. We're running it on November 1st.
Correct.
The horse has had time to develop and grow. Yeah. I'm with you. I see it. You going to knock the jockey on him or not this time?
Nevada Beach? I'm not the Mike Smith slanderer. That is you. You're the one who says he's washed. I'm over here saying
when did I ever say that?
Oh, every time I pick him, you say that. I was like, well, I can't use Mike Smith.
But
He's
you know
not
what?
aggressive anymore. He doesn't go
I had a
forward. He
very
doesn't ride
healthy win
hard.
bet. I had a very healthy win bet on Sumter in the Lure Stakes last month at Santa Anita. Mike Smith rode him. That made me a Mike Smith fan again.
All right, there we go. The truth comes out. Finally
With
cashed
new
Mike Smith ticket.
information.
Yeah.
And by
Yeah.
information, I mean money in my pocket.
But you didn't give that information to everybody else. You held that one in. You know, you didn't tell us you had a huge Sumter bet that changed your opinion on Mike Smith.
I told you now.
Yeah, that's true.
Listen, it's a really fun Breeders' Cup. As far as bets go overall, Mike, I'm going to do a lot of doubles, pick threes. I like the 2-day doubles. Pick fives. They do well for these types of shows that we do, right? But it's like Mike Smith since he went on Holy Bull 50 years ago. It's actually 31. Wow. You're not far off.
Yeah, it is crazy how long ago it was.
But yeah,
My favorite jockey interaction ever was actually with Mike Smith, who rode a horse that my dad and I owned with Slam Dunk Racing. The first race the day after the Breeders' Cup, and Mike Smith was riding it. Baffert trained it before. We'll get into that later. But anyway, Bob Baffert shows up in sunglasses, hung over like nothing else because he just won the Classic the day before. And I go to Mike Smith. I'm like, "Hey man, great to meet you. I got your autograph when I was 4 at Saratoga." And he's like, "I feel so old right now," because I'm like it's very fun. Good dude.
That's
good
all
dude.
right. His wife makes him feel like a 31-year-old. It's okay. But yeah, as far as the betting goes, it's a lot of doubles, pick threes, probably lots of doubles really in the 2-day doubles because I've got strong opinions. But my advice to people is don't go crazy with lots of pick fives, pick sixes. Don't go super deep because you don't want to be like, I love this horse at 15-1, 20-1, and it won, but I didn't cash because I played it in a pick five. Play the horse in a double. Build some doubles around that way.
Yeah, great day to play short doubles, short pick threes, where if you're right, you absolutely get paid. So for me, those are 2 ways to attack this. I also like betting win bets. I'll be in BC. I'll be firing some big win bets, big doubles in there.
Are you going to be on track or doing it online?
I will be doing it online, and I will be live on VSiN on Saturday for the 4 final Breeders' Cup races, playing BC. So we'll see what happens there, if I'm in it and how focused I am on talking about football when I'm playing BC and possibly contending. Favorite bet of the entire weekend, Magic? Who is your favorite win bet of the weekend?
Like most confident or just wild out of the...
Your favorite bet, the one that you're most excited to bet at current price, with the factor of how often you think that horse wins.
Mini Hawk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm so excited about her. Chris Mael is going to eat so much crow after his shit talking about Mini Hawk in the chat.
Cinderella Dream's going to win by open lengths in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. Last race.
She looks good. Yeah.
I don't know.
I think that's the only Appleby horse that's really got a strong chance.
I don't know why I'm getting 9-2, but man, I hope I get 9-2 on that horse.
My best bet Friday, the opening race, Westwood. John Sadler, Hector Barrios. The very first race of the entire undercard on Friday, Westwood. He's the one horse. Race 1, horse 1. I went, yep, that's me.
After the show, I got one. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. Getting a text from Aaron. Anyway, yes. No I haven't looked at the early races on Friday yet. I actually have to do that this afternoon. So I'll be grinding
them fun names. There's like the Sunshine Stakes, the Ocean View Stakes. It's fun.
It is fun. It is fun.
What's also fun is making money at the Breeders' Cup. And if you want more help doing that, make sure you check out the Ultimate Guide to the 2025 Breeders' Cup. The wagering Bible for the dudes. Last year's picks paid out over $12,000, and you can get the betting Bible right now. Visit racenews.com/Breeders' Cup, and you also get the 14 trends to know included free. That's always a fun thing to help base off. There's a lot of trends that you're like, well, that doesn't really make sense, and then you look at it, and Jared explains it really well. So check that out over there at racingdudes.com. I'll be on FanDuel TV at 8:30 in the morning Pacific, Friday and Saturday, helping kick off the coverage at Del Mar. Mike, how can we watch you on VSiN?
Check out VSiN at the Track. Get everything you need on the Breeders' Cup side. 4 episodes out this week, 2 of them with picks on Friday and Saturday. Long Shots podcast out yesterday, as well as a podcast with David Aragona and Chris the Bear Felica. So make sure you check that out. I'll be on Ready, Set, Bet, 1 to 4 Pacific on Saturday. I'm sorry, 3 to 6 Pacific on Saturday, 1 to 4 Pacific on Sunday. So you can check me out over there as well. Going to be a busy weekend, Magic.
Busy weekend. It's going to be a busy day for me because I got left alone with the 2 kids. So Let's read out our tickets one last time real quick, and then I got to get out of here before one of these kids doesn't live to see Halloween. I'm going to go 128 with 12812 with 238 single the 8 mini hawk, eat that Chris Milo, and then 12579 $90 for me.
I am going to play a $96 ticket, 1234 with 5, 7, 10, 11 with 2, 8, 12 with 8 with 1, 7, 10, $96 for 50 cents.
Follow us on Twitter. I'm at Curtis Kalleward. He's at Summabomb18, number 1, number 8. Corporate Overlords at Racing_Dudes. They had a special Breeders' Cup podcast with John White that just came out. Check that out as well. We got to get out of here because it's going to be time for Dudes Who Bet Sports as soon as we end this show. So with that in mind, Mike, it's been a pleasure. Have a wonderful Breeders' Cup.
Good luck this weekend.
Good luck this
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.